All right, welcome to Rec Talk. Hope y'all are having a good day. And I've got my notes here. So, review the Florida State game real quick. Florida State had 642 yards to our 264, which would make it look like our defense just had a flat-out horrible day, which we didn't play well. We got out-talented. But we only had 24 offensive yards in the first half. So we're not putting our defense in a very good spot. Passing yards, they had 396 to our 198. The biggest problem I think that we've had of late is we only had 66 rushing yards to their 246. We're putting a lot of pressure on our pass game to make up for what we don't have in a rush game. In the Pitt win and the Duke win, we were able to really get some breathing room for our quarterbacks with building a good rushing attack. Let's see here. Total plays. Florida State had 82 to our 61. Excuse me, and that equated to them having the ball for 34 minutes, 53 seconds to our 25 minutes and 7 seconds. So they had about 20 more plays in 10 minutes. I don't think that's setting your defense up for success. Again, our defense did not play necessarily well, but when you get no help from your offense until the second half, I mean, that's a hell of a spot to put your defense in. So, listening to the press conference, and Key really, kind of tongue-in-cheek alluded to it, that we kind of just didn't have the horses to run with Florida State. And for the people, because I'm starting to see this creep up, like, oh, Brent Key's garbage, Brent Key's the problem. Someone even commented, if you look at the press conference, that Brent Key sounds just like Geoff Collins in his press conferences. If you think that, I have some NFTs to sell you and some Scientology auditing services. That's insane. There are fair criticisms of Brent Key, but that he has the same issues or sounds like Geoff Collins is not one of them. The guy even talks about kind of specific schemes, or he did with Virginia Tech. When I rewatch the games, the issues that I see on film are issues that he talks about addressing in his press conferences. So the big difference now is I think we at least can recognize what the problem is. With Collins, it was just high level, play better, more consistent for everything. Oh, I thought we had a good plan. With Key, I think we at least recognize the problem. And for everyone that's like, well, Brent Key's garbage, wipe the whole staff. I want you to do this experiment with me, this thought experiment. I want you to imagine at your job tomorrow that you walk in and you're promoted to the highest position in whatever department you're in. And I also want you to imagine your department is doing as poorly as it has in its history, financially, operationally. Every area of your job is going as poorly as it ever has. And you have 2 months to prove that you're the guy to fix it. That's a heck of a spot to be put in, and that's exactly the spot that Brent Key's been put in. You know, he's basically got 2 months or less to prove that he's the guy. He wants the job. He's able to beat Pitt on the road. He's able to beat a pretty good Duke team, one of the better Duke teams that we've seen in recent history. Then he has staff turnover. You know, he has to try and replace his own position. He loses a running backs coach. We have some people leave the team. We have some recruits decommit. And then his starting quarterback goes down. Now he has to try and manage a roster that, for the most part, maybe minus the offensive line, he didn't build. I do think that Geoff Collins was not a great evaluator of talent in general. I think that that we brought Zach Gibson in and he's as poor as he is kind of speaks to Jeff Collins' evaluation of talents. I mean, just look at the transfers that we've got. Like, what was it? Antonius Clayton came in, 5-star recruit that committed to Florida. I don't know that he ever played 10 downs at Georgia Tech. So when you're looking at getting these transfers, and you have to look at, like in the situation with Clayton, why is he not seeing the field at Florida? You know, is it a Joe Burrow situation where they don't realize the talent they do have, or is this guy is he untalented or has some sort of problems outside the field or off the field? So his key starting quarterback goes down. Zach Gibson is the next in line. He plays like doo-doo. Then we basically have a week to get Zach Pyron ready. I think up until then he had been running the scout team to get another guy prepared. And I can tell you this: if Collins was there, number one, we don't beat Pitt, and we don't beat Duke. We'd have one win right now if Collins was there, and Zach Gibson would still be playing quarterback if Sims was unavailable. So I don't know that Key has done a horrible job. In fact, I think he's actually done a good job. Now, this week is going to tell us a lot. And I know I said that last week, but Virginia Tech is not a good team. They're on a 5-game losing streak. If you look at their stats, and we'll go over it, their defense is middle of the road. Their offense is pretty bad. Not as bad as ours, but that's tough to do at the moment. Can you get prepared and go beat a team on the road that is not very good, that really we should be able to beat, that they're only a 3-point favorite over us when they play Enter the Sandman in Plattsburgh? I think says how much they're struggling. And that we're 3-point underdogs against a team on a 5-game losing streak speaks to kind of where we're at the moment. So, I also want to talk about the offensive line. So, the most senior person in our offensive line is a redshirt sophomore. That's Pierce Quick at left guard. So, left tackle, we have Corey Robinson. He's a redshirt freshman. Left guard, Pierce Quick's a redshirt sophomore. He's the most experienced. Center, Weston Franklin is a true sophomore. Right guard, Joe Fusaw is a redshirt freshman. And right tackle, Jordan Williams is a true sophomore. So we're very young up front, and we're going to have to continue developing. You know, with Key taking over when he did, kind of middle of the season, there's problems with this team that aren't going to be solved in the middle of the season. I mean, that we've been able to beat 2 pretty decent teams is a testament to, I think he has the right idea and has a good plan on what we need to do to move forward. So, let's talk about Virginia Tech. So they're on a 5-game losing streak. They opened the season up with Old Dominion, which I watched, lost on the road at Old Dominion 20-17. Then they beat Boston College at home 27-10. They beat Wofford at home 27-7 on September 17th, and that was the last win they've gotten. They lost to West Virginia at home 33-10. They lost on the road to North Carolina 41-10. North Carolina's a pretty good team. They lost on the road to Pitt 45-29. They lost to Miami at home 20-14, and they lost on the road at NC State 22-21. That last one makes you say, ooh, North Carolina State's a pretty good team, and they only lost by a point to them. Defensively, they're very middle of the road. They're ranked about 65th out of 131 teams. Their offense is pretty bad. They're 107th in the country. Comparing that to last week, Florida State has about the 19th ranked offense in the country. Virginia Tech is scoring about 19.4 points a game, and they're giving up 24.8. So that kind of explains this 5-game skid they're on. Georgia Tech's offense is ranked 118. There's only a handful of teams that are playing worse offense than us right now. Our defense is ranked 48th. And I think that's a little bit deceptive. I think we're actually better than like 48th, 50th in the country. The issue is that our offense does no favors to our defense. We turn it over on our own side of the field, and our defense will hold them to a field goal. We'll go 3 and out 5 times in a row to start a game. So I think our defense is actually better than just 48th in the country. Now, we're scoring 16.1 points a game, and we're giving up 28.1 right now. So the point differential for us is much greater. So what does Georgia Tech have to do to win this game? First and foremost, we've got to establish a run attack early. We have to be able to run the football. When you can't run for even 100 yards in a game, there's not many teams that are able to do that successfully, or that are able to be successful without having any semblance of a running attack. Now, maybe Tennessee's an exception to that. Now, they're able to run for more than 100 yards a game, but they don't have much of a running attack, but they have a phenomenal passing attack. Do I think Georgia Tech is going to be able to counteract their lack of a rushing attack with some phenomenal passing attack? No, that's not going to happen. It seems like Sims will play. Everything Key said in the press conference leads me to believe that Sims is 100% ready to go. Excuse me. Now, I don't know if he's 100%, but he will play. And in my opinion, we will most likely see both Sims and Pyron play at these games. And it wouldn't surprise me if we have some sets or group of plays ready for Pyron and some ready for Sims. But our leading rusher has been Hassan Hall. He's a transfer from Louisville, and then Dante Smith. McDuffie has not really made much of an impact at all yet. Those are our 3 main backs, but we've got to be able to establish a running attack early, and that's going to start with our offensive line. You know, Key talked about in the press conference, we're not just going to be able to kind of bull rush and move people back. We're probably going to have to move them horizontal. So whatever we need to do to establish a run game early on, if it's implementing a more zone run team or counters or whatever, we've got to be able to do that and build our passing game behind it. Given our defense is going to have to play better than they did against Florida State, which should happen. The odd thing with Tech is that, like, against Florida State, we were +2 in the turnover margin and get blown out. And that's kind of been a common occurrence at Georgia Tech. You know, we're +2, +3, +4 in the turnover margin, and we lose the game. So we've got to be able, so we got to play well on defense, which I think we will against a weaker offense with Virginia Tech. We've got to be able to capitalize on the turnovers we get. You know, as well as our defense is playing, we got to bail them out. When the defense gets a turnover, we got to go and we got to score points, and we can't settle for a field goal. The most obvious thing in the world, what do we have to do? We have got to improve on offense in general. So, like I said, we've got to build a competent rushing attack, and we've got to make the throws when they're there. I think that we will be a more dynamic offense. Sims offers another threat with his legs when he's in. So if the coverage is really good, he can take off, pick up at least 5 yards. Excuse me. I don't know what's going on with his legs. So let me ask you this before I say, when do you think the last time we beat Virginia Tech was? I'll give you a hint, Jeff Collins wasn't the coach. So the last time we beat Virginia Tech was in Atlanta in 2017. We beat them 28-22. The last time we beat them in Blacksburg was 2016. We beat them 30-20. So it's been a while. Now that's the case with most teams that we play every year since Collins has been in there. We haven't won many. But everything that I laid out, the keys that we have to do to win. Oh, and obviously we have to, not screw the pooch special teams. But I fully expect our offense to improve against Virginia Tech. And look, when you look at all those stats I laid out from the Florida State game, you keep in mind we had 1 first down and 24 yards in the first half. Now, all fair criticism to Key, an offensive coordinator, for not being ready to go. I said in the previous videos, I think that they had really had the training wheels on them in the first half and then said, F it, let's just open the playbook. And Pyron, credit to them for saying, hey, let's that's not working, let's try something, let's at least try something else. That's something we never saw from Collins. Collins was kind of hell-bent on, this is the game plan, this is what we're going to do, this is going to work. And then after the game said, I don't know why that didn't work. I could have sworn it would. So at least we're able to make some adjustments, recognize the problems we have, and kind of have some kind of competent game plan moving forward. My prediction for the game, from what I'm seeing right now, I do think we win this game. I do think we win this game something like 24-21, 20-17 in a close game. Now we have to win this week. Next week we got Miami at home for our last home game. And then a brutal, I think we're on the road for North Carolina. Yeah, we got to go on the road to North Carolina. If we can win those 3, we get to a bowl. And it starts this week. Can you win a game you probably should against Virginia Tech in Blacksburg? Kickoff's at 12:30 Saturday. And tell me in the comments what you think. What do you think Georgia Tech needs to do to win? Do you think they'll win? Do you think we won't? Do you think we regress? And also comment, what videos would you like to see? I'm kind of on this consistent schedule of uploading kind of a pre-game, a halftime, and then a post-game. But anyways, see you guys later.